summer of chess comes to an end as 20 international grandmasters compete in St. Louis. USChessChamps.com presents the third annual Fall Chess Classic.
Hello and welcome back to the 2019 Fall Chess Classic. We are your hosts for this event. My name is Caleb Denby and I'm joined by the wonderful Grandmaster Dennis Boros. And we are giving you the commentary over all of the very exciting games in this event. And we're only one day in, but already things have been split wide open. In the A group, a lot of things have happened and we actually have two clear leaders. So why don't we take a look at the standings. So Hrant Melkumian and Vasif Durarbayli are the winners from round one, so they now share first place. Those are both very interesting games. I think Vasif defeated Ilyas Mirin in a pretty interesting opening line.
It's a very novel idea.
Yeah.
Very recent idea from Dubov. Also interesting how Hrant beat Ipatov. And it was like a long theoretical struggle, where Melkumian turned out to know way more than his Turkish compatriot.
Melkumian actually winning with the black pieces in round one. So we'll see what these players do today. Following them are a myriad of players, all tied for the third place position with the draw in the first rounds. And of course, rounding out the A group is Alex Ipatov and Ilyas Mirin, the victims of round one. Now let's check out the B group. So the B group had an insane first round.
All decisive.
All decisive games, that is correct. And the number one seed, Manuel Petrosyan, did manage to win his game. So I guess if you had to pick a favorite, I would probably go with him. Also tied with him for first place is Yasser Quesada-Perez, Aram Akobian, Jack Shtembuliak, and Steven Zirk.
It's important to mention that this is the second GM who's a Yasser.
Yes, that's true. Not the Yasser Seral we're all familiar with, but a very strong grandmaster in his own right.
Also, he's the little brother of Quesada Unievski Perez, who's been a champion here before.
Yeah, absolutely. And why don't we take a look at the format of this tournament that these players are playing in? It's a pretty interesting one. There are two 10-player round robins, so that's your A group and your B group. Both groups play a complete round robin. And the time control for the games is 90 minutes for the first 40 moves, and then they get 30 minutes added on past move 40 for the remainder of the game. There is also a 30-second increment from move 1. And another interesting rule for this tournament is that no draw offers are allowed before Black's 30th move. So these players have to make it to at least move 30 before turning into the Sinquefield Cup.
Lots of moves.
Yeah, but I don't think there's any danger of that rule really coming into effect here after round one. With those 5 decisive games in Group B and all of those interesting games in Group A as well. Be sure to join us online. You can follow the games yourself at USChessChamps.com. You can join us on YouTube, where we'll be keeping an eye on the chat. I want to say a quick hello to the wonderful viewers, Peter Larson, Grin Shi, Harsh Jindal, and hashtag. Thank you all for watching.
Hashtag personally?
Yeah, just hashtag is in the chat room.
Just join.
Yeah, wonderful stuff. You can also join us on Twitter using the hashtag FallChessClassic. With that in mind, why don't we just go ahead and take a look at the pairings for today. All the players up there still hard at work in the tournament hall. In Group A, we have Ray Robson squaring off against Daros Wirtz. Ilyas Mirin looking to come back stronger in round 2 against Jordan Van Forest. Alexander Bortnik has drawn his game against Alex Ipatov. And Hrant Melkumian, one of the leaders, is playing against Alexander Lenderman with the white pieces. And then lastly, our key matchup of the day. Var Akobian is squaring off against Vasif Durarbayli, again, one of the tournament leaders. And these two have actually played each other before. There is some history there. If you're
a real grudge match.
Yeah, if you're a fan of the Summer Chess Classic, you might remember that Var and Durarbayli actually had tied for first in a previous Summer Classic.
And played a big tiebreak match, which was a Grunfeld mayhem. It was all games Grunfeld, same colors, they repeated, true Karpov-Kasparov style. And guess what opening we have today?
Yeah, it looks like a Grunfeld.
That's correct.
Of course, in that tiebreak, Vasif was actually the one to come out victorious, winning 2-0 in the tiebreak. So let's see if Var can make some improvements.
He actually managed to win the Grunfeld game in the tiebreaker.
Yeah. Very impressive stuff. So what's going on in this game, Dennis? What do we have?
So we have the classical Grunfeld setup that is known since the Kramnik-Kasparov match
Of course.
in 2000 London. This is the typical position, and previously on the Akobian Durarbayli matches, Queen D2 was essayed, Knight C6, takes after Rook B1, maybe even Rook C1 was also played, and it turned out to be an equal position, with Durarbayli eventually winning in the tiebreaks, even though the classical game ended in a draw.
Right.
So it turns out that Akobian decided to diverge with Knight D2.
Interesting.
This is a very nice little funky move. The idea being, if you take the pawn, I have this nice little jump, and then I'll show it to you. Takes, then bye-bye, little lady, because it's a trap. It was always a trap.
Very nice queen trap. And so,
So black really needs to react.
Right.
Often they go Knight D7 or Bishop D7. Knight D7 is a little passive. It does block in this bishop, so it's not that popular. Bishop D7 is more popular. And back in the old days when there weren't draw rules,
right.
we would suspect the draw incoming. With
so
Knight
this
B3.
is not seen as the most critical line then.
Yes,
This is
so takes.
something white does when he doesn't want to risk much.
And sometimes when you are really aggressively wanting to draw, you withdraw the bishop back, attack the queen, it has no other square than going back, and repetition.
That would get the job done.
So, but
What was Var's choice, though?
in fact, Vasif decided to take on D4,
Wow.
Knight C4. We already seen this nice little queen trap, and it's no different even if the pawn is black on D4. So Queen D8 takes, castle. Here, usually F5 was played before, but somehow it kind of gone out of fashion. In fact, this D5 sacrifice is pretty interesting. If you're a Grunfeld player, you would never dare to eat that rook on A1,
Of course.
because it's like a poisoned apple. And if you read Grim Tales, you know how that ends.
Oh, well,
Well,
she ends up okay.
She ends up okay, but
Not so much here.
in
though.
hindsight, maybe you shouldn't have tried that apple.
Yeah. The dark squares are
Yes.
far too weak.
It's just too weak, and the bishop is just ready to enter the fray. It's very nice for white. So they usually, after D5, they castle, bishop D4. And because of this D5 pawn, which is protected, white is slightly better here.
Right.
So Durarbayli decided to castle, rook C1, F5 now, queen B3, and bishop E6. And this is typical Grunfeld play. Don't run away from me. Come back. Okay.
Might have to
so
refresh.
let me refresh this. Okay, so we're back to bishop E6. So the point is, I'm willing to give up pawns for active play.
Right.
Also, if white is not careful, I might just start picking up all your pawns. And if I remain active, or maybe just bishop d4, remain active, and with equal amount of material, black will actually be better.
Yeah, this is the classic Grunfeld style, right?
It's
You play for
very
activity and
Yes.
challenge the center.
Yes, so bishop e6 is always in Grunfeld spirit. Knight d7, the idea is to immediately challenge white's pieces. Also notice this queen is a little bit out of place. Queen a6, so that's why Akobian probably decided to move the queen away. It also tagged the bishop on e6, knight b6, d5, bishop f7. And this is a typical Grunfeld situation. White is up pawns, but is lacking in development.
Right.
It
the
takes
bishop's
at
still
least
stuck on f1.
2 moves to castle.
Yeah.
And that kind of reminds me of what Carlsen said at the Sinkfield Cup. Can you recall what he said about castling?
I do not recall.
So what he said, if you have 1 move to castle, You have the luxury. You can feel confident that you're gonna make it.
Right.
If you have 2, that's interesting. There's some hope that you can castle 3. Forget it. You're done.
It's over.
So Var is 2
I guess he's
moves.
got some hope still.
Yes. So he's 2 moves away from castling. So Var Akobian definitely has hope for castling.
All right.
Knight takes, queen takes b6. This is the other way of kind of releasing the tension.
Right. Offering up some trades.
Yes. Akobian offers the queen trades, hoping that the initiative dissolves. Takes, rook fb8. And I cannot praise this move enough. You're not really wanting to take pawns. You want active pieces and then pawns.
Absolutely.
Rook b8, bishop b3, bishop b2. So what black is playing for is quick attack on the king before it could castle.
Yeah.
And if black manages, Akobian will be in slight trouble. I'm not saying that he'll be lost,
Right.
but he would definitely be under pressure, even though up a pawn, because these pawns will eventually fall prey to all these active pieces.
Yeah, definitely. So
Bishop b2.
Yeah, how does white kind of activate his pieces here before it all goes wrong?
So white really needs to be careful.
Yeah,
Because
I definitely
one
agree.
mistake and you're done. So like even rook c2 here would already be kind of dicey, because rook a1 stuff, like bishop e2, rook a1, I collect everything and take a
And
look.
White actually ends up down the pawn.
Down the pawn and you can't move either.
It's tough. It's unfortunate.
So that's the good part of the Grunfeld, that you might eventually end up a pawn with active pieces.
Right.
So rook d1, this is more accurate, kind of preparing bishop d2 if bishop c3, and that's what happened. Takes, rook b1 check.
And Var's turn here, I suppose.
Yes. So if rook d1, the issue is, again, you can't really move your bishop anywhere, because I'll check you and take your rook.
Right.
So this can get sad.
Yeah, I kind of still believe in Var's position, though. For example, if I can just... I'm not saying that Var is better, but I don't think he should lose this game, right? He can
No.
find some way to liquidate
No.
some pawns.
Definitely
And,
defendable. Like
yeah.
f3 comes into mind. Takes. I'm actually considering just walking up with my king.
Yeah, that seems reasonable to me. Maybe I'll just play king e1 and rook g1, and I'm gonna get out.
You're gonna get out?
I'm gonna get out.
Okay.
I'm trying my best. Bishop e2.
Oh my.
I want to break free, Dennis.
You really want to break free?
Yeah? Yeah, bishop, maybe king f2 here.
King f2?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I'm going down a pawn all of a sudden.
I mean, you have g4, but I kind of feeling that this will be the end, my friend. The end.
Yeah, I didn't really break free, I guess.
You didn't really.
No, I tried. I tried my best on
Yeah.
build.
We hope Freddy could help us, but.
So
no.
what does white actually do? How do you get these pieces out?
So, takes. Rook d1 is probably a mistake.
Okay.
So
you
king
have to keep the rook
e2.
on d2 maybe
Yes,
to keep
just
that
to
second
keep-
rook out of the game.
And also kind of stalling for time. So if black goes rook a1, probably g3 is already an idea to
Right.
develop. Let's say here, takes, bishop g2, everything's defended. I can take this, and we're up a pawn
For the moment.
for the moment.
For the moment.
Black is still active. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that black shouldn't be fine here, but white is okay as well.
Seems perfectly reasonable.
So I feel that after king e2, f takes e4, now we have to activate that bishop somehow. So we would go g3, and then bishop g2. And even if these pawns drop, would you consider that like a big advantage for black? Or nearer to a draw?
As long as my pieces are developed, I think I can lose both those pawns, and it should still be a draw.
Yeah.
This f2, g3, and I guess white would eventually probably play h4 setup. It
Yes.
seems pretty compact,
Yes.
pretty unassailable from the white point of view.
I think that objectively, white should be able to hold. This is the current position. But it's not as easy. It's much easier to look at it at home and say that, okay, this position is fine for white.
Well, it still is a big if that white's going to
Yeah.
lose those 2 pawns.
Yeah. So that-
It's going to take black some time to capture those, and white may be able to come up with something in the meantime.
Actually, I'm curious, what if I go bishop e8? Planning to go bishop b5.
That seems like a reasonable plan.
Because I don't
Let's see.
want to wait for you going for g3, bishop
Right.
g2.
Maybe I have to play f3 here,
Okay.
and if you check me, I'll play king f2.
Uh-huh. You might run into some stuff because my rook will bounce back.
So here's a question.
Uh-huh.
Bishop takes b5 here.
Interesting.
Maybe this is
I have to
somewhat
take.
along the white's plan.
Uh-huh.
And I'll just recapture on e4. And
You're saying that these pawns...
yeah, I've got a
will
couple
be-
pawns. My d pawn might actually start rolling up the board pretty soon.
King f7.
Yeah, I don't think it's too early to play e5. I think I'm comfortable playing that here.
Can probably. Well, let's go the Yasser way and take everything. when
Take
we
all the
can.
pawns, okay. And now let's see. Yeah, simply d6 is what I want.
Simply d6.
Simply d6. It's that easy. Chess is that easy.
All right. If we go Yasser once, let's go Yasser twice. Let's collect all the pawns
Okay.
if we can.
Yeah, I might defend this one. I haven't decided yet.
Okay.
Maybe I'll give you a check first with bishop c4.
Check.
Just making sure all of my pawns are under control.
I could go king e8.
King e8.
Maybe you can push some pawns on me.
Yeah, I want to push my pawns. I want to push that pawn first and that pawn second. And
Yeah,
I
and,
don't see black winning this game.
Yeah.
no.
These pawns are strong, and this bishop's a good helper.
Yeah. In fact, I would prefer white here. I think black might actually run into some danger if he's not careful.
Yeah, eventually you might sneak this rook over to the f file.
Yeah. Well, very interesting ideas for both players. I think this is still a game that could go
Yeah,
either way. For the moment,
I kind of expect some developments here.
yeah.
Interesting developments.
And Var still has to decide to play this king e2 move.
Yes.
Rook d1 is also still another option that
Yeah.
he's very seriously considering, it seems. But hopefully he doesn't consider it for too long, down to
Yeah.
just 10 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, that's how hard it is, because
You have to be very, very,
Very
cautious
precise,
as
yeah.
the white player.
even though
Definitely
you're up
agree
a
with that.
pawn, you might get into trouble, because these pieces are just so underdeveloped.
Yeah. Well, why don't we let these players figure it out and take a look
Alright.
at what's going on in the B group for today. We have Steven Zurich paired against Denis Kadrick, Viktor Mikalevsky paired against Yasser Quesada Perez, Amon Hambleton paired against Aram Akobian, Alexander Fear paired against Jack Shtembuliak, and then our key matchup of the day. Vedek Grigoryan, who lost in round 1, is paired against Group B top seed Manuel Petrosyan, who did win his first round and is probably looking to extend his lead today. And so what's going on in this game, Dennis?
Well, this big Armenian derby,
yes.
it's actually hilarious, because there were many themes in today's round.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen, and probably we're going to take a look at later, but there's 2 Sveshnikovs in the A group,
Oh.
and 2 very similar Englishes in the B group.
Yeah,
Namely,
maybe these players are watching each other.
yes, probably, with this E4 system. And what actually shocked me is that when you learn 4 knights openings, the first thing you learn is never put your bishop on c5.
Right.
Because knight takes e5, as happened in the game, takes d4, and I fork you.
Yeah.
And if you would go here, I might even go, I fork you again.
My goodness.
And this will get worse and worse.
Please stop forking me, Dennis. I can't take
Can't
it.
stop, won't stop.
Okay, all right.
So in fact, that's why bishop b4 is considered the main line. That you would aim to get this doubled structure and play against it.
Right.
So bishop c5 is for some reason just played here. Takes, takes, d4. Bishop b4, d takes, knight takes, queen f3, queen h4. And I suspect computer preparation from black.
Yeah, I
As-
think it must be to play something like this.
as I think any classical player from the 70s and 80s would frown seeing this move.
Well, it depends. If they're in the 1770s, I think this is quite topical.
That's true. That's true. Viktor Korchnoi would have harsh words, but
Yes.
we're no Viktor Korchnoi, so we will leave it at that.
Who am I to argue with the engine overlords?
Yes. So probably takes bishop e7 here, and g6 or king f8 is a better choice, and probably eventually d6. And it's not as easy for white to get an advantage.
Right. It seems pretty reasonable for black.
Yes.
But after queen h4, what's going on here?
Queen h4 and crazy town
Yeah.
is about to happen. So g3
Attacks
and knight
the queen.
g5.
Ah. Okay.
So you
I
thought...
was wondering how black wasn't going to lose a piece.
Yes. You thought you're gonna win
Yeah.
on move 9?
Yeah, just attack the queen. The queen will move away. I'll take your knight. Chess is easy.
Knight g5, queen e2, queen e4. And it's funny, because right now the computer is celebrating white,
Yeah?
but probably white's computer was stronger, and white's computer was celebrating after bishop takes g5.
Oh. And then,
Takes f3. And
right.
Grigoryan, a Vedic Grigoryan
Queen.
is saying hello to your little queen.
Queen's in the
on
trap.
h1. And asking how is gonna get out from there. So takes, b6, castle, bishop b7, queen d2. Nice little
Little finesse there.
finesse there.
Yeah, just
If you
very
take,
subtle threat of checkmate.
yes, subtle mate on d8. This is one of those cool little checkmates you want to give.
Yeah, the classic bishop and rook synergy working together, as Paul Morphy showed
Yes.
all those years ago.
So Petrosyan, for some reason, went castles instead.
Oh, not hanging checkmate.
Not
Very
getting
strange
checkmated.
decision, but
So bishop
Does it
g2
make
takes.
sense?
And Grigoryan decided, okay, I'm committed to the idea of taking your queen.
ooh,
And actually, Petrosyan had no other choice than taking on f3.
just takes on f3.
Takes,
Okay.
takes. Because otherwise, rook h1 is coming, and there's nothing you can do about
I
it.
agree. So now we get a very interesting imbalance here
Yes.
with the two bishops in exchange for the rook. I'm being told, though, Dennis, newsflash, breaking news, Alexander Fier may have just blundered quite badly
Oh
in his
my
game
God.
against Jack Shtembuliak. So why don't we
Let's
take a
take
look,
a look.
and see what's going on
Let
in
me
the B
find-
group.
In the B.
See the players there looking over the board.
Mm-hmm.
And
Let's
what
see
is
what
going
happened.
on?
So, I went back. At this position, white already, still had the bishop pair,
Yes.
so nothing to complain about. e6 was played.
More bishops, more space.
Yes. On the other hand, it's a close position, so
It's true.
eventually these pawns might get extremely weak. In fact, it's a double attack.
Yeah, two pawns. How
Attacked.
to save both.
Rook e1 takes.
Ah, so you don't.
Yes, so probably this was just a blunder of a pawn. Takes, b4, takes, queen c7. If you collect the b4 pawn, then you lose the e5 one,
Mhm.
and that will be a big issue. And as far as I can see, this is a fairly miserable
Yeah, this
situation
one
for
doesn't
white.
look so pleasant.
Especially-
simply just down a pawn now.
down a pawn with a terrible pawn structure.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're playing with a black squared bishop,
Mhm.
you'd love to have all your pawns on the white squares.
Yeah, this is the classic rule.
Yes.
And I definitely think it applies here. So where did white go wrong? How should white have avoided falling
I
into
think
this?
this might have been another blunder on Fier's part,
Mhm.
which is sad because it means that he's not in a great shape because he
Yeah.
blundered in his previous game against Manuel Petrosyan as well. So in this position,
Mhm.
he had a decent game with the two bishops, but played a little bit carelessly with h4 and rook b1. Probably had to defend this pawn and also make sure that the a5 pawn is protected.
Yeah, it's slightly confusing that he chose to just kind of undefend all these pieces.
Well, Fear is a very ambitious player.
Yeah.
H4 is an ambitious move. He's saying, okay, I'm going to attack you there. Knight D8, but then he plays Rook B1. And sometimes, well, if you'll pull Keras, it's fine to play on both sides of the board.
Right.
But playing on the king side,
Oh.
then the queen side.
And it looks like we have a result in the Amon-Hamilton game.
Okay.
So, of course, this one looking very good for black.
It ended in a draw.
And this
Yes.
would be a draw. So Hamilton bounces back after his unfortunate round one
Yes.
game against Jack, I
Yes.
believe.
So coming back to the Jack Shtembuliak game with Alexander Fear, the big issue here was that White was kind of undecisive choosing plans.
Right, he's kind of bouncing back and forth. He
Yes.
plays H4 and then Rook
Then
B1.
Rook B1, probably thinking that, okay, let's play B4 instead. But that suddenly turned into a blunder of a pawn.
Yeah, no, I had the pleasure of commentating with Dorsa Derkashani a few weeks ago on the Pro Chess League, and something she really talked about a lot was how the players who really just play simply, keep all their pieces defended, are much less likely to fall into these types of tactics. And especially for players of, like, I think a higher caliber, it's kind of easy to get wrapped up in, trying to play so perfectly where you don't waste any time defending all of your pieces. That's sometimes you just find yourself falling for these tactics when sometimes the best move is just to play simply, keep your pieces defended, and avoid these types of tricks and shenanigans.
Well, in these strategic positions, you have to be very careful what you do.
Right.
Because you won't suffer the consequences immediately. You suffer 5 moves or 10 moves later, and you see the A-pawn marching down
Right.
with a terrible structure with no hope of surviving.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
So strategy is not an easy game.
Mm-hmm.
You can get into trouble if you don't know what you're doing. But one advice would be choose one plan and stick with it.
Yeah, definitely that's important.
So with that, let's take a look at Ray Robson's game.
Sure. How is Ray doing?
As Świercz is getting into time trouble. And he has 8 minutes against 17.
A very photogenic streak of light across the board there
Yes.
that we saw from the tournament hall.
So
so
let
Ray-
me start from the opening. So this was actually essayed in 2 boards. The Smirin Fun Forest game
Right.
had this position, but here Smirin deviated with h3. Robson played this classical way of playing, which is kind of funny that when Leko was ascending the throne and challenging Kramnik, he used the Sveshnikov with great success in Dortmund, and he was battling this specific position with Alexei Shirov.
Yeah, history repeating itself.
Yes, so we're just returning, and it seems that the time is ticking backwards. So knight d4, queen d2. The big issue is that sometimes some sacrifices can happen. Not yet. But e5 and bishop f5 was played. Well, for example, if h6 is played, then boom, it's time for sacrifices.
Ooh.
If you take, obviously I take back and I'm up a healthy pawn.
Yes.
If you take, well, you really don't want to do that because I'm swarming all over you.
Spying some danger here for black.
And this position is very, very, very dicey.
Yeah, rook takes
black.
f6 has to be one of my favorite moves in chess here.
Yes.
It just feels so satisfying to take
Yes,
that knight.
it feels like some crunchy bar that you just
a
found.
A very healthy bite
A
of
healthy bite
black's king
in
side.
black's position, yes. So bishop f5 was played to avoid all this massacre that was about to happen. Rook a1, just bringing in all the heavy artillery. h6, knight f3, rook a8, h3. So a bit of waiting game, which is not necessarily a bad choice by Robson, because his opponent is eating lots of time.
Yeah.
And we're on move 22, 18 moves left, and the position is still complicated.
Yeah, definitely. This is one of the more complex positions we've seen today.
Bishop h7, probably queen f2 with queen g3 was an idea, but Ray decided to take, and exchange stuff, and knight d5. Probably he's saying that the f7 pawn is way too weak, so I don't care about the bishop there.
Yeah, you really notice this bishop on h7, kind of
Yes.
not pulling its weight there.
Yes.
Definitely, if I could pick one piece for black to improve, I would love to put that guy on e6, for
Yes.
example, where it can at least combat
But-
the white bishop.
To be honest, I'm not a big fan of taking on f6,
Okay.
because I feel this bishop is way stronger than this one.
Yeah.
Why would you want to get rid of your active bishop
Well,
for such a passive knight?
Well, I think white was looking at that bishop on h7. He takes off both the
Okay.
knights, and then he immediately occupies the d5 square, really highlighting that neither black's minor pieces can ever really attack that knight, can really ever make it move. And so I think that's what white was thinking here, is if he can take off both these knights, then he has this nice advantage with this knight on d5, controlling a lot of squares.
I don't know, I just have the feeling that if this bishop activates, things can get ugly for white as well.
Right.
So it's getting double-edged here. And bishop g6 was a pretty good move, defending this pawn. Question is, if we can play on the tactical ideas of this g6 not actually being protected
Yeah,
because of the
there's
potential
the nice-
discovered ideas.
Pinning ideas here.
Would h4 work?
yeah.
Actually, not really, because bishop e3 is...
I think bishop e3 might be coming no matter what here.
So-
Of course, you can't take d4, again,
Yeah.
due to this bishop e3 move.
Yes, so here, if queen d4, then bishop e3, and unfortunate things might happen
Yeah,
if you don't pay
No
attention.
matter how you take the bishop, you're
Yes.
going to be losing a queen there.
So there's no good positions that you can't mess up with one move.
Yeah, and it looks like some moves have actually been played.
Yeah, king h1 was played,
Okay.
getting out of this bishop e3 idea. Bishop e3 was played. So probably queen g3, I assume, would happen. King h7 or king h8. Let's say king h8. And
Is there any way I can maneuver my knight to really play against this bishop?
I mean, I really would like to get rid of this bishop.
Yeah,
But then
why don't I just...
you might just take me.
I
would you
think
wanna-
that trade might actually be favorable for me, though.
Okay.
Because, so knight f4, bishop takes, rook takes, and then I'm not sure what black is actually intending to play here. But I have a few different bets. I can play something like queen f3 and just triple on the f pawn, and I can play something like, I don't know, queen h4 as well, eyeing
Queen
the
h4.
d4 pawn.
Queen h4. Ah, you're setting up a sly little trick.
Maybe.
Oh, how nasty. So if here, if black is unsuspecting, there could be this
Yeah,
nice
might
little
be able
idea.
to capture.
It's actually ending up in a draw because of perpetual, but it's a nice little trick.
Yeah, there's some
note.
definitely some problems for black.
I mean, now black does have a perpetual, but
Well, yeah, but there's some tactical ideas for white
yes,
still
some tactical
remaining.
ideas still remaining. So I'm not sure. So Świercz seems to be under some pressure, but I'm not convinced
Okay.
because it seems that black has enough to defend these pieces.
All right.
So
Yeah, fair enough.
all right, so let's take a look
So-
at another game.
Well, actually, I think Ray just played a move. I'm
Okay.
curious what he played. I'm
Queen
curious.
G3 was
Queen
played.
G3. Okay. And so now we're just expecting something like King H8 from
So
black.
if something naive would have happened, knight f6,
Of course.
and our family is growing bigger and bigger, but
Yes.
this is the biggest family fork I've seen this tournament.
It's a pretty substantial one.
And after this position is going to be nasty as rook f6, and I collect everything. Your whole queen side, your queen, and the game.
I like white in this one.
You like
Yeah. So black does have to have some amount of caution here. It looks like
Yep.
King H7 was his choice.
King h7?
do have some more news, though, from the people in my ear. I believe they think Ilya Smirin may be winning his game in the A group.
That would be a big comeback for, excuse me, for Ilya Smirin, as he lost an important game against Vasilij Durarbayli.
Yeah, we see the players there, and it looks like Jordan is actually under some pressure, just judging by his body language.
Yes,
But,
and those pawns look very devastating.
Yes, dangerous stuff.
You can't
Black-
even just take, because this pawn will just start marching and it's over.
Black does have this d3 pawn to try to compensate for it, but it's kind of meaningless if he can't blockade these pawns on the queen's side.
Note that these black pawns, both of them are terribly
Not the
terribly
best.
placed, and they're also kind of hard to defend.
Yeah.
I mean, Forrest manages to defend it with the rook at the moment, but it's just there by a thread.
So let's try to break Black's position here.
Yep.
So I'm expecting bishop d8 seems like the only move that I can find to keep the game going. And so how do we break through here?
Well, we would look around for some jumps, but also this c pawn is kind of weak.
Right. Maybe
So we
something like rook a4.
Yeah, rook a4.
Oh, but am I
that-
hanging my
that
b
you
pawn?
hang
Yeah.
your pawn.
Okay, so
let's
maybe
take
I
this guy.
should take and then rook a4
Maybe
now.
rook a4.
And
And if
then-
d2, then just block it and it's going nowhere.
Yes, but if you play rook d1, I take b5.
That's true. I still will be up a pawn, basically, because the c pawn is worth way more than these. So I'm
yeah,
saying that
understandable, but
I'm not saying that this is necessarily the best choice,
Mhm.
but after white takes this pawn, this can also be considered a technical win for white.
yeah. But
Because all these
with
pawns
this,
would be extremely weak.
with this line in mind, I'm kind of tempted to just play a move like king f1,
King F1?
just
Mhm.
such that Black doesn't really have
Why
quite.
it's black to move, though?
Well, not in this position. I meant rather than playing rook a4.
Oh, okay.
I just want to play a
Just
move
king
like
F1.
king f1. Just
Okay.
keep things under control.
And just bring the king if d2 ever happens.
Yeah.
hmm And yeah, the difficult thing is for black that you can't really get too active, because I have some nasty tricks like this. You
As
can't
soon as you
take-
try to break out here.
Yes. So this position looks very, very depressing for Jordan.
Yeah, you got to think this should just be a win for white.
Yes.
It doesn't even have to do anything special.
Yes.
Just he can play slow, he can play quickly, but it all looks bad for black here.
Yes.
And looks like we do have
Smirin definitely has a good chance of coming back.
looks like we do have a couple moves played. So what did the players decide on?
So for some reason it showed queen e3, but
Ah,
bishop
so bishop
c5 was
c5.
played. Takes. And this is obviously an improved version, because at least black has a blockade here.
Yeah, absolutely. The queen is good at
Yeah.
stopping pawns.
So it makes sense to defend your guys and then proceed from there.
Yeah, I would tend to agree.
Let's say rook d8. Could stop this d2 with rook a2. h6. But now I have some a7.
Yeah, a7, maybe. Yeah, I guess a7 would be the way
But
to start.
there's no reason to rush. It's basically black is trying to defend a strategically hopeless position.
Right.
Because eventually these pawns will fall. Maybe black gets something and can hope for something, but I think objectively this should be lost. Just
Yeah,
based on the structure.
I tend to agree. But it does bother me that I can't find a way to really break through immediately here.
Well, sometimes you don't have to.
Yeah, but I want to, you know?
I know you want to, but you don't need to.
The best part of a chess game is when it's over.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
But, nonetheless-
eventually, so what I'm thinking,
Yeah.
that white eventually would build a position, could even go h4, h5 if feels the need to.
Sure.
But the plan would be to go rook d2 and queen e4, hassling that pawn.
Right.
And
My problem is always this b pawn falls as soon as I move my queen away. But
so let's say rook c8. But then this pawn falls. That's true. Let's say if we wait around, what happens? Oh, but now I have this nice trick.
ah, yes, but maybe rook b8 instead of rook d8.
Rook b8. But now I can go queen e4.
Okay. Queen a5, possibly.
I take the pawn.
I'll take your b pawn.
You'll take my pawn. How dare you?
And queen takes.
And I try to promote.
You succeed, it looks
I
like.
succeed.
So yeah, maybe this queen e4 idea does eventually
Yes.
just come with too many threats for black to
Yes.
deal with.
I'm not saying that there are no hopes for survival, but with very precise play, Smirran should be able to convert.
Fair enough. All right, so what do you want to check out now?
Let's go back to the Akobian game.
Yeah,
I think,
why not?
as
So
the
how's-
game of the day.
How has this game progressed? Last we checked in, of course,
Yes.
VAR had a couple extra pawns,
Yes.
but had some very serious difficulties getting
Yes.
developed.
So we left off around rook takes d2, rook b1, and we were waiting for moves. And VAR decided to go rook d1.
Ah,
I do assume that he felt that king 8, bishop e8 is just too dangerous.
yeah, it was an interesting endgame, but
So this, and in a practical game, it's very tempting to avoid this.
right.
This looks extremely tough to
If you
deal with.
miscalculate something, or if black's rooks
You're
get
done.
active, it's done.
You're
The
done.
game's over.
Rook takes a2. And now the d5 pawn falls. And this is kind of annoying. Even though probably white should be able to survive, castling doesn't
If-
really work as far as I know, especially as the king moved.
It would work better if it was legal.
It would be
but,
better if it would be legal. So rook f1 is a must. If the bishop moves, I have king d2. But actually,
How is this endgame?
probably white is too active.
That would be my instincts, but you might know better than I. Maybe
So
I
I
have
could-
rook d5,
Rook d5, okay.
king f6, rook d6, and then rook h6.
Yeah, but I won't
so
let
you
you
went
there.
there. Okay.
Yes.
Well, then I want to play rook e6 here and take your
But I
other
might,
pawn.
might also have f4 ideas.
Okay. King e4.
But then I'll check you. I'll defend it.
Okay.
Not impressed?
Not impressed
Oh.
yet.
That would ruin the fun.
Just king d5.
King
Don't
f5.
check me again, please. Rook h6.
Well, I think I'm gonna go for that pawn.
Oh yeah, my king's getting driven away.
Yeah.
It's kind of unfortunate. Yeah, you might win that one.
Yes.
So okay, so what does white do?
So
does white
white
do?
should, I think, activate the rook. Should be pretty good.
Mhm.
And if the king has to move here, I would even consider this one. And just taking. You can still
yeah,
take.
Right.
Take. But
This is like something I was hoping to achieve,
Yeah.
but
this doesn't really look too threatening for white.
should be a draw.
Yeah, with this active rook, I think this should be a draw.
Mm-hmm. But
So
definitely not a disappointing result for Vasif here.
Yeah.
He had all the fun in this
yeah,
game. so to
he
speak.
had all the fun. Let's go back to the position. Actually, VAR played king d2. Interesting. Instead of
rook f1.
rook f1.
So maybe this is gaining some time.
Yes, bishop b3. But this is kind of nasty because it's hard to get out of it.
Yeah, just rook e1, I thought.
Oh yeah, rook e1. That's true. That we actually transpose. And the only difference that a rook is not on f1,
Yeah,
but
which
on
is
e1.
more advantageous, of
Yes.
course, because you're already
Yes.
hitting this e pawn.
Yes. But in fact, maybe it was even better to try to play for activity instead of exchanging pieces.
Yeah. So we actually saw bishop b3 on the board, and then
Yes.
VAR chose g3,
G3.
trying to maybe keep all of his pawns.
Yes.
Just seems like a reasonable enough way to play this.
So it could be check, takes,
Yeah, but this structure seems a lot, like, even less promising than,
Yeah.
than the previous one.
Yeah, with this active rook harassing these pawns, this pawn being guarded by the G pawn.
Yes, not the easiest game to win.
Yes. White can start maybe attacking, then if the king comes, you can start repeating the attack,
Right.
and that should fizzle into a draw.
Okay, so maybe some accurate play by VAR there
Yes.
to escape that one.
Yes, it's a nice escape by VAR, but probably a bigger success for Durarbayli too.
Yeah,
the draw.
absolutely. Putting on the serious pressure here
Yes.
with the black pieces. So what is happening in our other key matchup of the day? What has progressed in Grigoryan Petrosyan?
So a lot has happened here.
We seem to have found ourselves in an end game.
Yes.
I would think that white is winning this. Those
Possibly.
bishops just seem too strong.
Again, as we've seen in already many games, this pawn might run up the board.
Yeah, it's just going to happen, I think.
Yeah.
What does black even do?
Okay, let's say c5. The only thing I'd be concerned with white.
Black getting rid of all the pawns somehow.
Yes, if black could manage to sag the rook for the pawn,
Bishop and a pawn.
bishop and a pawn, yes, then possibly there would be a chance for a draw. I guess you'd prefer to give this rook for this pawn and the black squared one. So you can go
So
h4
there's some- yes.
and create that
Right.
technical drawn endgame. So it might not be as easy as it might seem.
Well, I'm a little confused how black can achieve this, getting rid of a bishop and the pawn.
It's very hard to stop this pawn.
It goes fast.
But
It
okay,
goes
a3.
fast.
Let me go here. I guess you just
Yeah, just
collect.
c7.
Or c7?
Yeah. You cannot play king
Can't.
d7 due to bishop f5.
Mm. Yeah, bishop b7 is too strong.
Yeah. This looks like game over to me.
So let's take a look from here. Because here, Petrosyan already had some play.
Right.
He has lots of pawns, but these bishops are just suffocating.
Yes, absolutely.
And there's lots of pressure on these pawns.
Controlling so many squares, preventing black from really using his rooks effectively.
a5, and probably c5 was the star move. Not fearing ghosts, especially because the bishop would take that rook.
Right.
So the main point being that Avetic needs that pawn to win the game.
Yeah,
It's
I
very
definitely agree.
difficult actually to win this position if you don't manage to get a pass pawn for white.
Right.
So even though
Yeah, I mean, kind of your two options are
Yes.
get a passed pawn and promote to
Yeah.
a queen, or somehow checkmate black,
Yes,
which
but-
it's not looking easy to checkmate
yeah,
black
it doesn't
here,
look
so-
likely with kind of a king in the center exposed.
Right.
a5, c5.
Yeah, c5, creating a passer.
Yes, I think this was like the golden move. Check, not blundering the rook. Takes bishop d6, playing for the strength of the position.
Yeah, white is going to collect on these pawns.
King h7, deciding to give up on it. Bishop takes f7, keeping the eye on the prize.
So yeah, one thing that strikes me as
Yes.
odd is I'm wondering how black managed to get white's rook off the board here. Something I've been told
Yeah.
about these types of endgames is that very often the two rooks can be redundant. They do a lot of the same jobs, whereas the rook for white can be a very key piece in working with the bishops. So not that white's position I think is totally winning, but as black I would have been very happy to get that trade in.
Yes, because you do get closer. And I think we have some moves here in this position. But, so yeah, the rook exchange. But I think, to be honest, this position is not that easy to play for white. Yes, it should be objectively winning.
Right.
But because of the reduced amount of pawns for white, it's very easy to mess it up.
Understandable.
And, in fact, here, g6 would have been stronger. g6 move would have been stronger, I said.
Struggling with the software a little
Yes.
bit.
So I said g6 would be stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some hope. So black can try to push the pawn somehow.
If he can manage to get off that G pawn, then his chances
Yeah.
of drawing really, really go up.
Yeah. But on the other hand, this C pawn does have like a clear route to victory.
Mm-hmm.
So king g8 was played, bishop d6, and sadly for black, it's just too easy for white just to push it up. And also notice that the bishops also take these squares.
Yeah, from that central position,
Yes.
both bishops can stop either the A pawn or the H pawn quite
So
easily.
it really doesn't matter if black starts pushing the pawns. We will just exchange and these bishops will stop them
Right.
by not even doing anything.
Yeah.
And just a note, the two bishops against the king does win the game.
Yes. That checkmate
quite
not quite
easily.
as hard as the knight and bishop one.
Not as hard as the knight and bishop. And you can be sure that Avete Grigoryan will know how to win that position.
Right.
And I assume that this will be a win for
Looks like a victory.
Grigoryan. A big
So
comeback.
yeah, he having lost in round one, this is a huge game for Avetic. It's also a
Yes.
huge game for the tournament standings,
Yes.
as Manuel is the #1 seed in the Fall Classic in the B group. And after he won his first game, I'm sure he was hoping for a lot more today than what he's getting here.
So let's take a look at the Shtembuliak game.
Oh, it looks like we have a result between Yasser Quesada Perez and Victor Mikulewski.
Yes, it ended in a draw.
So not too shocking there.
Not
perhaps.
too shocking.
So what did you want to take a look at? I'm
At
sorry.
the Shtembuliak Alexander Fear game, where Fear struggles, he continues to struggle,
Right.
while Shtembuliak might go 2 out of 2.
Yeah, 2 out of 2 would be a fantastic way to start this tournament.
And it seems that the situation did not improve for white. It actually got worse. And the software still does not like me, so we are just going to continue from here. The issue is simple. Even if you exchange this d5 pawn, I'm just going to roll my pawn, and there's not much you can do. Probably I'm going to check you first and then roll the pawn.
Something white might try to do is sacrifice this bishop for this A pawn and try to find a way to take off all of the kingside pawns. But unfortunately, that doesn't really seem realistic here. Sacrificing this bishop for this pawn is actually going to be quite difficult, I think, for white to achieve.
It's black to move
Yeah.
and crush.
Black to move and crush. Perhaps I should capture your bishop.
You should capture.
And promote to a queen myself.
And say hello to the new lady, the new ruler of the board.
That'll get the job done.
This is a no-go because this bishop is eyeing that square. And also, sadly, for white,
Yeah, you can give one check, but
not just this promotes,
end of the
even if I would be in trouble, I could still just block it with bishop a5.
it's with check, and I get to
Yes.
block. Everything is firmly in hand.
Yeah, so rook d7 actually was played, and this looks very, very good for black.
Yeah, this must be winning.
This must be just a clear win. But let's check in with the Ray Robson game. As time trouble is looming, with Robson being lower on time.
So a little bit of a
Switz.
turnaround there. Also, I think black is suddenly doing quite nicely in this position. Ray looks to be in some serious trouble. This e-pawn is very frightening to me.
And this is what I
very
said that
afraid.
I didn't like. And sometimes that's why you listen to some classic players like Fischer saying that I love the bishop there. I would never want to give it away.
Right.
Even though this bishop takes f6 seems like a normal move, and it does have a logic, attacking that f7 pawn, it does come with the risk of those two bishops eventually
breaking free and
breaking free
wreaking
and
some havoc.
becoming powerful. And now both of these bishops work really hard.
Yeah.
King h1, bishop e3, queen g3, king h7. We left it here. Bishop b3 was played f5. And for white, I was a bit scared of running out of ideas.
Oh yeah, f5 seems like a nice idea from black to bring
Yes.
this bishop back to a more relevant diagonal.
Also, no more f7 weaknesses.
It's true.
And this was kind of the issue, that this knight does look pretty on d5, but it actually does not much.
Right.
And therefore, I don't like bishop f6 idea in hindsight.
All right,
But okay.
I guess you've got me there.
But that's hindsight 2020, and we're not there yet. So rook, queen f3 was played.
Rook e5.
Rook e5, defending this pawn, potentially preparing some ideas. Takes, and f4 came. And having a protected passed pawn in the
Yeah.
middle game, that's never a good sign.
No, it isn't.
And potentially, black might just have an overwhelming advantage.
Yeah.
Even sacking these pawns don't really concern black, because if I can play f3, either you watch me roll down with those pawns, or you just get simply checkmated.
Daro is actually, I wanted to mention, I'm sure you've had the pleasure of playing many of these players in this
Yes.
event. Daro is the only one I've had the pleasure of playing,
Oh.
or perhaps the misfortune of playing.
Misfortune of playing.
Yeah, having been on the receiving end of the punishment from Daro, he's a very accurate player in my experience. And,
Yes.
so you give him this opportunity to reactivate his pieces, and he's not going to miss it.
I think he's kind of a universal player. Like, he has a very fine understanding of positional chess,
Right.
but he is also a mean tactician.
Yes, I agree. And we see the players there hard at work. So Daro
Yes.
actually down to just a minute and 50 seconds.
Yes.
I'm sure trying to make something out of this position, not wanting to let Ray off the hook.
And g3 was a good practical try.
Right.
Trying to break free, hoping that hopefully I can muddy some waters before it's way too late.
So you're trying to break free now.
Now I'm trying to break
Okay. We'll see. We'll
because
see if
I've
it
got
works.
to break free.
Okay. All right. So yeah, g3, trying to break up these two pawns.
If takes, I assume you would take here.
That would be
And because this
My
bishop
hope.
is still a little bit dumb because of this pawn,
yeah.
I might get away with this.
Mhm.
So I assume black wouldn't want that.
But what can you do?
So one option would be to gamble,
Risking it all.
risking it all. But at least I would get active piece play.
Right. I was interested in the move maybe queen c5 rather than
Queen c5.
rook f8.
Yeah, also there's some tricks here as well. Queen c5.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted
And
to
if I
play
take?
takes bishop h5 and somehow find some activity
Mhm.
this way. Yeah, queen d5 is annoying.
Yeah, because I exchange the queens. And
Yes. There's no way to get
Yeah.
at your king.
Yeah. In fact, queen a5 was an option here
Yeah, maybe queen a5 is a bit better.
to attack and get the bishop on
So
and the queen.
That's
on,
what
excuse
Daro
me, on d2.
actually played, I believe, is queen
Yes.
a5.
Queen
You know,
a5
it's-
was played.
It's Ray's choice. Maybe we should stay here.
Yes,
while
I
these
think
players
so too.
struggle in the time pressure.
So rook e2 was
Rook
played.
e2, and then he just captures on g3.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that makes a lot of sense. Rook e3 would run into this terrible queen d2 move,
Ooh.
winning the whole house
Yes.
and the bet.
That's enough for me.
Queen g3, but then I can defend this pawn. This looks
Whoa.
Bad.
Whoa. Okay, I can't play queen d2. I wanted to play queen d2, but
okay.
I can't.
Let's see,
I
queen
can't. There's just
d2.
c3 in the end.
And yeah, there's unfortunately this bishop will take control of this square.
It would have been nice.
It would have
but,
been very pretty.
No queen d2 for me.
But queen c5 is the slow position, very Russian approach.
Okay.
Rook rook g2, don't I have queen c6 stuff? Oh, then there's this idea of bishop f7.
Ah, very sneaky stuff. Very sneaky stuff.
And if takes, then I guess the king will have a little bit of a walk and just block this pawn from
What if bishop f7? Can I play e2?
bishop f7, e2.
It's a bit much, but seems like a try. Do you just take on g6 and take my rook?
I have no. Oh yeah, and I cover the square.
Ah, this is very
So,
sad.
it's
None of my
sad.
tactics are working.
So probably queen c5 and some queen f5 is better, avoiding some trickeries.
Right.
But you can expect some turnarounds here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not unkilled for.
So what's Ray going to do here? It's still his turn, I
I
believe.
think he will try that one. I think
Yeah,
he's
queen
going to go there and try to.
Well, you've got me wondering about moves like bishop f7 in the first place. Is
Yeah.
it really so pivotal that we take this g pawn off the board?
Yes. But Świercz decided to go queen h5.
Okay.
The idea being, I want to harass this rook. So if you go here, then your queen is stuck there forever. If you
Yeah.
move the rook, I push the pawn. And
But I do love offering queen trades. So what if I were to
Oh.
play queen g4?
queen g4. Okay.
That was Ray's choice.
A good move there.
How do you progress with white here? Or black, rather.
I
Feels
definitely
like-
wouldn't want to exchange queens.
Feels like should be something going on.
So
But now
I
I
have
think
a
this
choice
is-
between queen e5 or queen c5, I think.
Probably queen e5 makes more sense. Because now
just-
after there's no rook g2
Yeah.
nonsense as well. You're also covering the g7 square, is my point.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I can go bishop f5, f rook g2.
Yeah, bishop f5, bishop h5. I really want to get on the same diagonal as this king, but
Yeah.
he's
And
doing a good job of
notice
making it
that
difficult.
this is also a big issue here.
Yes, of course.
And queen e5 was played. I think Daro is on the road.
Queen h5 is a very nice nice move then.
Yes.
Drawing this queen onto the suboptimal
Yes.
square on g4.
Drawing it to white squares.
Yeah.
And then bring the queen in the center. Basically double attacking.
A lot of finesse from these
Yes.
players.
This also looks dicey.
Yeah, I think Daro
Also-
might have found a very convincing way here.
Yeah.
to,
Also Ray under seconds.
So yeah, Ray just played rook e1, it looks like, at the
Rook
last
E1.
possible moment. Oh, and he's shaking his head.
2
He's
seconds.
unhappy.
Yes.
He's looking at the wall. You can tell this is not what he wanted to
Yeah,
see.
rook f8, rook f2. We still have the e pawn and the attack.
Yeah,
That should be deadly.
this does not look
This
like
looks
it.
deadly.
So wow, Daro really navigating the time pressure there a
Yeah.
bit better than Ray. Ray was already under some pressure to begin with, but
Yes.
some very nice moves from Daro here to really
I-
keep the pressure on in the critical moments.
Yeah, I think Daro was defending really well
Yeah.
when he had to. But I think Robson did have the advantage at some moment, but then overpressed a little bit with giving away the bishop.
Yeah.
And if he would have kept the bishop on and go on like queen f2, queen g3 attacks, probably he would have some slight pressure. Not saying he would win or anything like that. I'm saying that probably after they reached this position with the knight on d5, practically doing nothing,
Yeah.
that's the moment when Ray
This is where
had trouble
Things
finding
started
moves.
going wrong, yeah.
And it's much easier to play this position with black, to be honest.
Yeah, f5 is a very nice move. And
Yeah.
after that, a lot of his problems seem to be solved.
Yes. And this position is already in very precarious. For
So Daro taking his time here, though, trying to find the correct way to finish the game here.
and
But doesn't want to take too much time, otherwise there will
all
be no
those
time
people
left.
watching these games looking for how to be good at technical games, when you're winning, you're still supposed to take some time to figure out the ultimate and the best way of winning the position.
Right.
So the reason why Świercz is still taking up some time is that he's looking for the best possible way to finish and wrap it up.
And he does choose bishop h5.
Bishop
down
h5.
to almost his final seconds, I believe.
Yes, I think around 20 seconds. If
Yeah,
I'm correct.
something like that.
Bishop h5, but in fact, rook f8 would have been a little bit more thematic, I think. But bishop h5 is a very human move.
Well, I think you're probably going to play both moves no matter what.
Yeah.
Right? Bishop h5, and then no matter where the queen
Yeah.
goes. Oh, well, queen e4 is.
It
one
did
way to
give
go
this
about it.
chance of bailing,
Yeah.
at least getting rid of the queens, although this is still gonna get pushed.
Right.
And this should still be very hard to defend for white.
So rook takes e4 played.
Rook e4 played. White's hope is that somehow he could try to put some pressure on the e-pawn,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not that easy because black might just go rook e5, g5, and how are you gonna ever approach that pawn?
Yeah, the king is a little bit stuck in a box there.
Yes, it's boxed in. It's in this little box.
And the good news for black is his king is not boxed in.
Yes.
So that's
Like king g2.
playing with an extra
Let's
piece
say
almost.
g5, c3. Not gonna fall for this one.
Ah, very tricky, very tricky.
And white is just waiting for black to improve the position and just win.
Right.
So bishop d5 was played instead.
Yeah, simply rook e7, defending that b
Rook
pawn.
e7 was played. And sadly, for white, there's really not much you can do against just slowly maneuvering forward. But let's see how Świercz does it.
Mm-hmm. I did want to mention, it looks like the game between Alexander Fear and Jack Shtembuliak is just about to wrap up here. White did not manage to take off
Yes,
the pawns on the king's
I
side.
assume
And White actually seems to have lost more pawns on the king's
I
side.
assume the a-pawn
and
makes
there we
the home
actually
run.
do see the handshake.
And
Fear throwing in the
Shtembuliak's
towel here.
A-pawn
Yeah.
made the home run.
Yeah.
It seems.
The stellar A-pawn winning the game.
Yes.
We see the players signing the score sheets. This brings Jack to a stellar 2 out of 2 to start off this tournament.
Albert helped Jack get the 2 out of 2.
Yeah, definitely the way you want to start this one off. This is just a single round robin, of course.
Yes.
So there are only 9 rounds. So 2 out of 2 is already a lot of the way there. Plus
Yeah,
2 is a
it's
very
lot of-
decent score.
A lot of points and also a big score with black.
Yeah, and he'll of course have the white pieces next round,
Yeah.
I believe, and a big chance to make it 3 out of 3.
Yeah.
We'll have to keep an eye on his games going forward.
Yeah.
And here we see Ray and Daro back again. Any other interesting games going on as we're in this time pressure area?
So Smirin is about to wrap it up as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's up a pawn, and probably another pawn is going to fall.
Interesting. So yeah, Ilya, of course, had that very nice position against Jordan earlier on. And
But-
now he's kind of gone into just
Yeah.
a simplified rook endgame.
Yeah.
He's just going to collect.
Yeah,
and,
the c pawn. And this pawn should still win the
Yes.
game.
He cashed in his chips, but luckily he made quite a profit
Yes.
there. So yeah, here we see the tournament. He's actually just wandering around
Yeah.
now. Game firmly in hand.
Yes. Let's take a split look at Lederman game.
Yeah, we haven't seen too
Malcolmian.
much of his games yet.
And
So Malcolmian, of course, one of the players tied for the lead
First,
in
yes.
the A group.
and he's actually pushing a little bit as he has the better structure. Also,
Yeah,
he's
slightly
going
more
to probably
compact.
go here and collect that pawn.
Mm-hmm. Of course, this is an extra pawn for black, though. So
Yes,
it's
that's true. But after collecting that pawn,
pawn on c6, of course.
yes, there
It's-
are some small weaknesses, not too terrible for Lenderman,
Mhm.
but might have some slight issues.
Yeah, well, we do have current Group A leader, Jack Shtembuliak,
Mm-hmm.
ready to come into the studio here.
Cool.
So I'll let you analyze your game
Alright.
of choice while I step out of the chair here
Okay.
and get him into the studio.
All right. So let's take a look how Grigoryan is making work. And as we can see, nothing really changed much. That c-pawn is still roaming down the board. Angrily, this pawn is still unstoppable. a3. Okay. g5 takes. And there's no stopping of the g-pawn. In fact, there's some cute tactics here. c6 is winning. Takes c7. And as we've seen, something very similar in Jack Shtembuliak's game, the pawn and the bishop is a good combination together, and sometimes it makes your day. So let's say hello to Jack Shtembuliak. Congratulations.
Thank you.
This is not the first time we've met. Let me just pull up your game.
Okay.
So, can you get us through the key moments of your game today?
Yeah, sure. So at the beginning, maybe a couple of moves before.
Okay, like here?
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to play because if I go knight e8, he plays d4. So I came up with an interesting, I think, idea of rook c8, preventing d4. Yeah, here
I
he
guess just to show, then you will
Yeah.
have some nice jumps, and that'll be
sure.
nice. Yep.
Okay, yeah, and here he played h3, which is pretty logical. Knight e8, f4, knight d4. Yeah, and here he played bishop f2, which I didn't really expect.
Yeah. I kind of feel that he was hesitant. He didn't seem too familiar with the position. Did he
Ye-
take a lot of time during the
Uh,
game?
I mean, not really. I mean, he took quite some time, but not a lot.
Mhm.
And here, but I think bishop f2 is very interesting. Like his idea was very interesting. Like,
Just check.
yeah, because first of all, I thought that bishop f2 is a bad move because I simply take on e2, and he takes queen e2. I play knight c7, and I'm threatening knight e6. And if he plays f5, then I have b5 move.
Okay, f5,
Yeah.
b5. Yes.
Yeah, so like, I was really happy with my position. But then he played a5, the move that I didn't calculate. Yeah, and here after knight e6, he played e5. Yeah, and here's position is very interesting. I'm not sure about the evaluation, but probably I should be fine. But it's not very easy.
So what plans did you consider here?
So I decided not to take on e5 right away because it seemed dangerous to me. Because he just takes back and then plays knight d5 after bishop c6.
And yeah, and you're under some constant
Yeah.
pressure. You can't
Yeah.
ever open because this is loose.
Yeah.
So you decided to go bishop c6.
Yeah, yeah, that's why I went bishop c6 first,
d5.
knight d5, and here,
Takes.
yeah, I took. And
This
here,
wasn't a happy decision, I assume.
Yeah, I mean here, he probably should have played c takes d5. I'm not sure, but I think it was interesting. And after knight d4, just take on d4, and I thought this should be slightly better for him because he has like potentially a better bishop.
Yeah.
Because let's say if he wins d4 pawn somehow and then plays d4 himself, then my bishop on g7 would be dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I calculated this line the most. Yeah, but after bishop d5, his position is still fine. Queen d7, and here I didn't expect h4. 'cause
Yeah,
it's
h4
just-
doesn't seem to make much sense.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just a waste of time.
Yeah.
Because after h4, I'm probably already better. So instead, he probably should have taken on d6. Yeah, I would take with a pawn. And here I thought if he takes on e6, yeah, from the first side it looks like bishop on f2 is much worse than the bishop on g7. But if he takes on e6, I wasn't really sure what to take with. Because if I take with the queen, he can take on e6 and pawn takes. And if he manages to promote b4, then his bishop on f2 is better than the bishop on g7. So I thought maybe like rook a4 even. Because after rook b1, there was a very interesting idea of playing something like b5 maybe, and if
B5.
a takes b6, then a5. But I wasn't sure about it.
Just taking away that.
Yeah, and then rook a8 and rook b8.
Okay, so probably e takes was better.
Yeah.
Maybe even leaving the tension, just maybe doing just smaller moves would have
Yeah.
been better. Also, it's putting the pawn on the same square as this bishop, so that could be a little issue. But okay, knight d8.
Yeah, knight d8, and now he realized that he has some problems here. Because, like, I have a very simple plan. If I play e6 and knight c6, rook f d8, and then just we like exchange pawns in the center, his position is just worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why here he tried to like find some counterplay to make it double edge, but I mean
It just didn't work.
Yeah, it just didn't work. Like he probably missed some like moves.
So you
After.
just won the pawn.
Yeah, and here he probably missed that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that this is a double attack.
yeah.
So this was a very clean win, it seemed. I mean, from here on.
Yeah. But later I wasn't sure about my decision. Like, first of all,
What moment?
when I played b6,
B6, can you point out which one? Ah, here. B6.
yeah, here I wasn't really sure because initially I wanted to take on c4 and then queen takes, rook takes b7, and I was gonna go rook a8 there. But then I realized that after he plays bishop e3, it's not so easy.
Here?
No, rook b7,
Or
rook
rook
a8,
b7. And then bishop e3.
and then bishop e3. Yeah, and now I cannot put my bishop on h6. Now he has some rook f1 ideas, so now it's not that easy. Yeah, that's why I took some time and played b6.
So just to get a better version of that.
Yeah, and here I thought he should go like rook c1 or something. But yeah, he went queen b6, and now I got better version
Yeah,
of
you
that
got
position.
everything that
yeah,
you
I got
wanted.
everything that I wanted.
And this was basically a technical win.
Yeah, and here it was the last chance for him. Like, if he trades rooks, then it's completely winning for me.
Yeah.
So that's why he had to go d5. He takes d5, e6, and of course the position here is losing, but at least he has like some chances.
Some active
Yeah.
pieces and some practical chances.
Yeah, maybe like some h5 ideas.
Yeah.
So,
But
yeah.
after here, it was fairly standard and simple.
Yeah, here I just
You have everything that
Yeah.
you dream of. That bishop kind of entombed by its own pawns.
yeah.
So, great win for you.
Yeah, thank you.
2 out of 2. Good start. Who do you have next?
Actually, I didn't check yet.
Okay.
So I'm trying to play like round by round.
Round by round?
Yeah.
Professional. Never heard that before. And what are your expectations for this tournament?
Actually, I'm gonna play a World Championship under 20 in
very
October.
nice.
So this is like a very good preparation for me.
And what seed are you, approximately?
In World Championship?
Yes.
For now, it's like seed 10. Yeah. So it will be a tough tournament.
Yeah, it's a good warm-up. And you're doing great. So
Yeah.
good luck for the next round.
Yeah, thank you.
Best of luck. And let's take a look at what happened since in the Robson Darius game. And exactly what we've predicted with Caleb. White is basically, just like in the previous game, this king, just like the bishop in the Shtembuliak game, is entombed, can't really escape from this box, and is just waiting its eventual doom to arise.
Disastrous for Ray Robson.
And this is disastrous for Ray. White can stall and just make random moves, but I think this is eventually collapsing.
Yeah, this doesn't look very comfortable at all.
Yes.
So one idea for White may be to try to play something like c4 and b4 and b5 and create a pass pawn that way. What is Black fast enough to do something in this regard?
I'm not sure I need to be fast, because at any moment I can go e2, and I don't really think that.
b4.
b4.
Go.
All right.
B5.
b5. Okay. I do see that if e2, you want to go king f2 of
Yes.
some sorts.
Please. I would
Please.
love to.
I really would like to get my king over.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, like exchanging is never too bad if you're up a pawn. So
Okay, I will capture,
I take it.
and I will capture again on a6
Capture back.
and c5.
c5.
Hopefully I'm
Okay.
not blundering my pawn. I'm blundering my
So-
pawn. I'm so sad.
Rook e5, and I take ya.
Mm-hmm. And this just in, our key matchup in
Mm-hmm.
the A group between Akobian and Durarbayli has actually ended in a draw. So
It
what we
was-
expected from there.
Yes, it was all that we expected.
Down to king versus king. even.
Yes, we knew that it's going to be a draw.
Mhm.
Even though Akobian is down a pawn, it's not really enough for a win
Right.
for black, because the king is optimally placed right in front of this pawn.
Mhm.
Also, this rook is active enough to harass this king and all those black pawns.
Absolutely.
So king g5, just staying active, and that's just what War did.
Mm-hmm.
Rook e6, now eventually this pawn falls, and that's just going to be the end. And the game ended in a draw.
Some accurate play there by
Yes.
both sides.
Yes.
So, in our closing minutes here, any other games you want to really get a look at? Anything looks super interesting?
Not really. I think the big deal was the potential Grigoryan win. He
Yeah,
didn't win
absolutely.
yet, but
So,
he's
yeah.
on the road to win this endgame.
Why don't we check back in with him and see
Yeah,
what's
let's
going on?
do that.
He's really taking his time here
Yes.
with pushing this pawn. I wanted to push it to c7 like
Yes.
the minute I saw his position,
Yes.
but he's being very responsible.
Yeah,
he
you know,
took
when
off
you
a couple of the
when you
black
drive
pawns.
and when you're nursing an advantage, be
Mhm.
responsible.
Of course,
Okay, check bishop h2, no funny business.
nothing
now,
at all.
Now I'm gonna push my pawn. Check. I'll go back. What are you planning to go do next?
Yeah, it's fairly unclear. I think.
Yes, it's very hard. Maybe pushing, but again, I just push and.
Go 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 go.
But
Check.
it's too late,
Yes.
and I just promote.
All the lines seem to be working out in White's favor here.
Yeah. So probably one of the biggest results in this tournament was Shtembuliak's win with
Yeah,
black
absolutely.
against Alexander Fear.
Mhm.
A big upset is Avetic beating Manuel, as
I agree.
he's coming back after rebounding after a loss,
Mhm.
and he's probably getting back into the tournament.
Yeah. Why don't we check in with the final game going on? There are just two remaining
Mhm.
between Steven Zierk and Dennis Kadrick.
Rather even position.
Yeah.
Black has a little bit more active pieces,
Mhm.
but there are some pressure on the e5 pawn, and not enough material left to actually have a different result than a draw.
Understandable.
I would assume a draw is likely here.
A draw here would, of course, bring Steven up to 1.5 points,
Yes.
placing him in second place
Yes.
behind Jack,
Jack Shtembuliak,
who is
yes.
shaping up to be the only player with 2 out of 2
Yeah.
in the B group, despite the opportunity for as many as I think 4 or 5. I think actually 5. It's interesting. All of the 1-point players played all of the 0-point players today
Yes.
in the B group. So yeah, this position shaping up to be a draw. We see f4 on the board, really trying to, I guess, liquidate down
Yes.
as
And
quickly as possible. No more nonsense.
Yes,
let's go home.
Yes,
is what they're saying.
I do not think that objectively this should be anything else but a draw.
Right.
And meanwhile, checking in the Lenderman game,
Mm-hmm.
the Melkumian Lenderman game. This is kind of even, but Melkumian has the moral right to push for the advantage, as
Right.
these pawns are still a little bit loosey-goosey.
Mm-hmm.
The king could run over, and maybe the bishop could move away. There's some chances, but objectively, probably is going to end in a draw.
Right.
And that would actually mean that if Darius wins the game,
He would
he
jump
will
into
join the
first
lead.
place. Yeah.
with Vasif Durarbayli and Melkumyan,
Right.
because he also won his first game against the Turkish Grandmaster Alexander Ipatov.
Okay. So maybe we should just keep an eye on that Daro game then. That really seems like the critical game still
Yes.
up in the air. Whether or not Daro can win this position. So yeah, what's going on here? Ray decided to, in fact, push some of these pawns
Yeah.
forward, it looks like.
He
trying to
followed your
find-
advice.
Yeah. Just trying to find some counterplay somewhere on the board.
But I do think that this king f4, g4, or let's say, okay, let's choose a different plan. How does this plan would shape up to be?
So, maybe this plan is good. My question was, okay, so e2, there's always king f2 was the point.
Yes.
I'm sorry. So you've got me there. But is there some way I can play king e5 here?
King
Am
e5.
I letting your king out of the box too much?
I might. Yeah, you do let my king out, then you
But
don't
then-
want to do that.
A takes b, I thought.
That's true. That's a truth statement right there. It's tough to suggest stuff for white because it's lost in many ways. I think all of these positions are lost. It depends which one is technically the best choice.
Right.
It's probably an interesting idea to just go this bishop g6,
Yeah,
bishop e4,
I
going
think
very technical.
Definitely, if you can avoid letting the white king out,
Yes.
that's the way to go.
And with this strong pawn, and some pawns might even fall in the future, I think it would be a huge miracle by Ray to survive this game.
All right. So why don't we take a look at the standings that we expect
do that.
to have leaving this round? The A group, of course, is a lot of interesting games happened today, leaving us with one, possibly two, or even three co-leaders
Yes.
after the round today. Definitely expecting Melkumyan to draw his game, bringing him into shared first with Vasif. And,
So Grigoryan just
yeah,
won.
we do have a result there.
And that's a big comeback for Abetek.
Yeah, absolutely. After losing in round one, to win here puts him back on a level score. Not at all far behind
Yeah.
the top of the pack there.
Yes. So I think the A group is getting tighter.
Yeah, definitely.
We're gonna see lots of exciting games there coming up. And the B group, we have Jack running away. He's running
Yeah.
the show, so
2-0,
so far.
already clear first, just 2 rounds into the tournament. Is a great spot to be in.
But 2 out of 2, it's not on end of the world, and the show must go on. We might see some surprises and
Yeah.
see what the show has in store for us.
Well, before we wrap up here, we did want to include a quick message from Ryan Chester with a very exciting offer about the golden tickets.
Hi, my name is Ryan Chester, and I'm the development manager for the St. Louis Chess Club. I'm here to tell everyone about a golden opportunity that we have right now. We're selling golden tickets for $50 a piece. It's a 50-50 raffle. $5,000 will go to the Scholastic Chess Initiative for the St. Louis Chess Club, and $5,000 will go to a lucky winner. We're only selling 200 of these, and we've already sold many to Grandmasters and all of our commentary team as well. So if you're interested, please call the Chess Club or go to our website on the homepage and buy a golden ticket there. Thank you and good luck.
All right, exciting stuff with the golden ticket. Quick side note, there are actually just 50 golden tickets left, no longer the 200 that we started out with. And the good news is, you viewers online are welcome to purchase those as well. You do not have to be present at the golf tournament where the tickets will be drawn in order to win. So you can buy them remotely, you don't even have to show up, and you could win $5,000. Once again, time is running out though, Dennis. Those tickets are going to be drawn on
Don't wait too long.
Exactly. They're going to be
Might
drawn
run out
on
of time.
September 30th. And who knows, we might sell out before then. So definitely now is the time to
Now
buy
is
your
the right
golden
time.
ticket.
Now is the right time.
Get in that raffle.
Get in there and get your tickets.
Well, why don't we take a look at the results in the A group?
Yes, let's take a look.
We see Ray Robson still in progress against Daro Świercz. We're expecting Daro to really press in
Yes,
this
he's
game.
probably going to win that game.
Yeah, a lot of faith in him. Ilias Smirin, of course, just wrapping up against Jordan Van Forest.
Yes,
we
although
had
I
a-
see that Forest is kind of untangling.
Oh,
Surprising.
interesting. So maybe some chess left to be played
Yes.
there. Alexander Bortnik versus Alex Ipatov was actually the first game to finish today, ending in a reasonably quick draw. Hrant Malkumian, one of the tournament co-leaders coming into today, is still fighting against Alex Linderman. We're expecting a draw there.
Yes. And the game of the day,
Yes, the key
Akobian
matchup.
versus Durarbayli, ended in a draw where Akobian had to eke the draw
Yeah,
somehow.
not the
but,
most comfortable draw ever, but
he managed,
he got the
and
job
both
done.
of them are still in contention
Absolutely.
for the title.
All right, and why don't we check out the results in the B group? Steven Zirk still playing against Denis Kadric, definitely expecting a draw from them. Victor Mihajlovsky drew his game against Quesada Perez. Amon Hamilton drew against Aram Hakobian.
Back on the scoreboard.
Yes, back on the scoreboard.
scoreboard.
Still battling that illness, I
Yes,
think, but
but-
did manage to score a half
But when
point
you're
today.
on the scoreboard, things are looking up for him.
Yes, once you get that first half point, the rest is easy,
Easy.
from there.
From there,
Easy
it's
chess.
smooth sailing.
And of course, Jack Shtembuliak is the story of the day, winning his game against Alexander Fier, moving into clear first with a perfect score of 2 out of 2. And then in the key matchup, the top seed of the tournament, Manuel Petrosyan, did not manage to get it done. Lost to a Vedic Grigoryan.
Grigoryan pulled out this fantastic upset and also a big comeback for him after losing the first game of the tournament.
Yeah. Well, that is about it from us here in Studio B at the St. Louis Chess Club. You are welcome to follow along on uschesschamps.com. The games are still going on. You're welcome to watch them to conclusion. But other than that, Dennis, what an exciting round today.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Looking forward for round 3.
Yeah, almost matching that 5 decisive results in round 1. These players are
pretty
really
good round.
clearly here to fight it out. Be sure to join us tomorrow at the same exact time, 3:30 p.m., for round 3 coverage of the 2019 Fall Chess Classic.
Be there.
This has been a presentation of the St. Louis Chess Club.